All right, now that I know my videos are working, I have to fucking explain this to you guys. I've been dying to explain this to you. I watched this YouTube video the other day that explained this thing about dismissive avoidance that I can't stop thinking about. And it has to do with brain chemicals. I've never heard anyone talk about it this way. And once I heard this, I was like, holy fucking shit. All right, so your average person has access to various different brain chemicals. Someone who is healthy and well-adjusted is going to fluctuate between different chemicals, but is going to rely more on the healthier chemicals. So here are some of the chemicals I'm talking about. So first you have cortisol. So cortisol is released in your body when you are under stress. It's like a stress hormone. It sends adrenaline and it is there to kind of prepare you for oncoming threat. The next is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a bonding hormone. It is what would be released when a mother is bonding with her newborn baby, when that baby is breastfeeding, or when two lovers are like cuddling, whatever. The next is serotonin. So serotonin is associated with like happiness, calmness. And then you have dopamine, and dopamine is like rewards. So serotonin is going to be something that kind of soothes you and brings you genuine calmness, comfort, happiness. And dopamine is going to be more of these quick hit motivational rewards. And they're not always healthy. Dopamine seeking people a lot of times are people that are very dysregulated. I am one of those people. May have some kind of neurodivergence or mental illness that causes you to constantly seek dopamine. So drugs and alcohol, smoking, constant caffeine, anything that is giving you that constant like reward, right? I always need to have a reward. All right, so here's why I'm explaining this. When you have a dismissive avoidant, they only really have access to two main chemicals. And I mean, of course they're human, so they have access to all of them, but two of them are going to be prioritized in their body: cortisol and dopamine. Because their core wound is to shield themselves from others and to protect themselves, because they learned that when they asserted their needs and asserted their feelings, they were dismissed, rejected, not prioritized. So what that taught them is, I need to protect myself from other people and deal with my own shit, be highly independent, but also other people aren't safe and I can't rely on them. They're never coming to help me. I'm in it for number one, right? So in that type of environment where they grew up, it was often chaotic, neglectful, and their body began to release extra cortisol because they are in this high stress environment. And so their body releases extra cortisol and they become hyper vigilant, constantly assessing threat around every corner, always scanning their environment. Okay, always. And that stays with them into adulthood. So you may have noticed, if you have been with a dismissive avoidant partner, that they could never really sit still or really be truly calm or content. And the reason for that is because their body is always in this state of hypervigilance. There is too much cortisol being released all the time. You may have noticed, and this was true with my ex, where like at night when we would watch movies and stuff, I would just want to relax and snuggle, lay my head on his chest, and I'd look over and this man could not sit still. He's squirming and worming around, checking his phone every 5 minutes, getting up to smoke, getting up to go to the bathroom, whatever. And I was always like, oh, he just has ADD, he can't sit still. But like, now I'm like, oh, this really makes sense. All right, so here's the next part. So what happens when you have someone who has this overwhelm of cortisol? They're constantly under this feeling of stress and scanning their environment. Well, this is someone who is going to want to feel better, okay? And quickly. So this is going to be someone who is addicted to dopamine. So what that looks like is a thrill-seeking, adrenaline junkie workaholic who probably has addiction issues, who, is probably taking a lot of risks, who is, probably has an addiction to like sugar, smoking. Like, they're constantly trying to get these little dopamine hits. They're just trying to find ways to feel better because they are under so much stress, but because they are not healthy or regulated, they don't really know the right ways to feel better. All right, so why is this stuff important? When a dismissive avoidant gets into a relationship with you, because they lack the ability to really have access to oxytocin, they never truly bond with you. They never truly bond with anyone. So when they get into the relationship, they look at the relationship through risk and reward, all right? Because that's how their life is. Cortisol is risk, dopamine is reward. Everything is through a risk and reward system. So when they first meet you, there's a lot of reward. The reward overwhelms the risk, right? They don't know you that well yet. There's not much on the line. They're not risking that much. If they don't like it, they can just easily jump out. There's no commitment. There's no intimacy built up. Tons of reward in there for them, okay? But as things progress and more intimacy rises and more shame rises, and you are having all these unmet needs and they are having all these unmet needs and resentments because they don't know how to assert their needs and their feelings, the risk gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And as that risk gets bigger, their body is in this constant state of cortisol and stress. So what are they going to look for? Quick hits of dopamine. And they're going to look for more and more and more of that the more stressful things get. This is where you may notice the cheating, sneaking around, lying, obsessively sports betting on their phone. You're over here attached to them and bonded to them because your body releases oxytocin when you are with them. You feel this intense bond with them, but they do not feel that with you. They can logically understand that they love you and they like you and they feel comfort when they're with you, but that bond is not there. And so they really only see the relationship through a risk and reward system. So when that reward starts to become smaller and smaller, what they're thinking is, I'm not getting the benefit of this anymore. There's not much benefit involved in this relationship anymore, and so I think I need to leave. I need to leave, get some relief from all this stress, and go seek out some better fucking dopamine. The guy in this YouTube video explained this so fucking well. He said, you have a vending machine, right? And you have a $1,000 bill. You try to put a $1,000 bill in that vending machine, it's gonna spit it right back out at you, okay? But you put a bunch of $1 bills in there, it's gonna accept all of them. That's how avoidants are. You can be the fanciest, most beautiful, most amazing, loving, compassionate, perfect $1,000 bill, and they're going to say no to you for a bunch of quick hit dopamine $1 bills.